Hey everybody, Christina here and welcome back to another video. I wanted to work on some birthday cards and play with my new distress stains, and I really love this evergreen bow color, so I needed to kind of play with it a little bit and figure out how to use it. They work very similar to the distress stains if you've ever used those, as well as the other inks formulas that Tim Holtz has out. So I'm just going to go ahead and start putting a card together. I'm using some Tim Holtz watercolor paper and my Mama Elephant Basics die set. It's got a whole bunch of different dies. My favorite one happens to be the stitched die, along with the scalloped piece that is a little bit bigger. So I'm just cutting that out using 2 pieces of vellum because I am going to be making 2 cards today. So I'm just going to run those through my Big Shot. And to start my process here, I'm taking some of my 3M Post-it tape and adhering down my watercolor paper, and I'm covering up the edges. So for one, I can create a little white border, but I can also cover up those stitched edges because I really like to have those out. And here's the Tim Holtz Distress Stain Spray. And I recently just purchased this. You guys probably saw this in a recent haul video for Simon Says Stamp. But I really love the color. Sometimes I don't like it to be that bold, bright watercolor look. Sometimes I just like to wipe away the ink and get that more softer color, which is what I'm doing with my 2 cards today. So I sprayed my ink and then wiped it away with a paper towel. And now I'm just using some water, and I want to create that kind of water splash look on the background. So just like all of the Tim Holtz Distress Stains and sprays and inks, when you add water to it and sprinkle water on it, it starts to kind of pool away from the color. So you can see here a little bit closer up just how that water reacted with the ink and how it looks. So I'm just going ahead and drying this with my heat gun. And once I have this all dried, I'm going to start with my picket fence, the white ink. And this one has a little ball inside, so you want to shake that up really good to make sure that ball gets all of the ink working. And I'm just pulled out the top and sprinkled it over the top of my little background that I'm creating here, and I really like the way this came out. So I'm just pulling away the 3M tape, and you can see the really cute border. It leaves like a perfect border around it, and it still has those stitched edges. So I really like how this came out. I'm just going to continue heating it, making sure it's completely dry, and I'm going to set that aside to dry and start working on my second piece. Again, using the 3M tape, I'm just doing a little border around the outside, but for this one, I decided I wanted to try a little stenciling and see how the stencil came out, and I really like how it came out. The perfectionist in me was a little annoyed that some of the spotches kind of was behind the stencil, but it's only because I don't have an adhesive spray or anything like that. I know Jennifer McGuire recommends putting an adhesive spray on the back, and I didn't have that on hand, but I wanted to try it. So if I do recommend you put some kind of adhesive spray, temporary spray on the back, just to keep it so it's flush with the card. So I went ahead and sprayed it, wiped that off with my paper toweling, and then I did, again, splattered some water on the background, and you can see I had some bigger pools, and you can kind of see it start to pull the ink color away. It kind of spreads it out. And then I also added the white embossing, or the white picket fence, to this as well. So I'm just peeling the pieces off, and then I'll go ahead and heat set this one as well. And some of the sections, you can see where it pulled up around the hello because I didn't have the stencil adhered completely down, and it just kind of stepped on, went underneath the stencil, but using a paper towel, I dabbed up. It got most of it. And it turned out really nice. However, I think next time I want to definitely get some spray. So for the next part, I'm going to do some embossing. This is the first one we did, and I'm going to use some embossing powder. On this one, I'm using 2 stamp sets, the Lawn Fawn's Winter Penguin, along with the Herald ABCs, and I'm stamping out the happy sentiment from the Winter Penguin with some Versamark ink. It's a nice sticky clear ink that's going to hold my embossing powder. And I'm just going to stamp this out right onto that card front and sprinkle some white embossing powder over the top of that and heat set it. I did use my embossing buddy on this because Tim Holtz ink does take a little while to dry, and I just wanted to make sure it was completely dry and that the embossing powder wouldn't stick to anything but the Versamark ink. So I went ahead and heat set that, melted the embossing powder with my heat tool, and then I'm going to go ahead and stamp birthday. I didn't really have a plain text birthday stamp that I really liked, so I took my Herald's ABC's Lawn Fawn stamp and just did my little birthday with all the letters from that collection. stamped that out using Versamark. And because I really wanted to try my liquid platinum embossing powder, I went ahead and added that to the birthday sentiment. Again, this is new embossing powder to me, and I absolutely love this embossing powder. It is fantastic. So I went ahead and melted the birthday. And then I'm going to move on to my hello one that I did with the stencil. I'm using a mama elephant from this one. So I took the sentiment that says, I think it's hello, have a nice sunshiny day or something like that. So I am going to, again, Versamark this and then use my liquid platinum embossing powder to add my sentiment. So I'm stamping that out right underneath the hello. And I did slide a little bit. I thought, oh no, this is it. I've already messed it up, but I didn't. It actually came out pretty good. So again, I didn't show this. I used my embossing buddy to make sure that my embossing powder wouldn't stick to anything but my sentiment. So I'm just going to go ahead and clean up my mess before I knock my embossing powder all over the place. And then I'll go ahead and heat set that. So it's have a bright sunshiny day. I'm sorry. I filmed this a couple of days ago, so it's taking me a couple minutes to remember what it said. I am going to go ahead and take those two pieces. I added my 3M foam to the back of the panel, and I'm going to adhere that down to my vellum piece that I cut out with that scallop die. So I'm going to kind of put both of my cards together here at the same time. And then once I get that done, I am going to adhere this to a card front. I picked out some pattern paper from the Simple Stories Vintage Bliss. Oh, wait, before I forget, that section that didn't completely cover, the ink kind of ran a little bit. I took my white white gel pen and kind of fixed up the areas that were really bugging me. So now I'm going to take my Simple Stories Vintage Bliss paper. This is a 6x6 pad that I've had for a while. And I picked two pieces of pattern paper from that collection and cut it down to the same size as the front of my card base, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere my two panels that I created right to those two pieces of pattern paper. The Mama Elephant dies are absolutely perfect size for the front of an A2 size card, which is, they're just a little bit smaller than the same size as a card. So I went ahead and adhere those on, and then I'm going to go ahead and adhere these to my card base, which is a standard A2 size card that I cut out with some Nina Solar white cardstock. And taking a tip from Jennifer McGuire, it's so much easier to stand up the card and kind of put these two pieces together, especially when they're both the same size. So excellent tip. It really helped me line things up much better than I normally do, which is usually crooked. So the last thing I want to do is just add a couple sequins. Originally I was thinking these yellow ones, but I actually ended up changing it over to the white ones from Pretty Pink Posh. The little containers I keep them in, I showed this in a room tour video that I did not too long ago of my craft room, and I really like these containers, and if I can find them online, I will definitely link them below in the YouTube description. But basically I'm just going to sprinkle them onto the front of my card, dipping them into some glossy accents with my tweezers, because I find my tweezers are the easiest thing to do. And I do know that a lot of people recommend the matte medium for putting down their sequins. I don't have any, but it's definitely on my shopping list for the next time I place an online order, so I could try that out. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'm definitely going to have a hard time deciding which of these cards I'm going to be sending out. I really love the hello. That's my favorite one. The happy birthday I really like too, but both of these would make great birthday cards, which is what I need to get in my stash. As always, the list of supplies are below in the YouTube description and over on my blog. I've linked to multiple sources if you want to check them out. And I also would like to thank you for stopping by. Don't forget to like today's video, subscribe for more videos, and leave a comment. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.